This is the first topic in the La Trobe University Career Ready module on applying for jobs. It provides information on developing effective resumes. Some people use the term resume, which comes from the French word for summary. Others call it a curriculum vitae or CV, which comes from the Latin term for a brief account of one's life. Career Ready uses the term resume. Your resume is basically a document that summarises your key qualifications, skills, experience and qualities. Employers don't have time to read your life story. They just need information that's relevant to the job they're trying to fill and the products or services their business or organisation provides. Your resume has a job to do, to show employers how and why you can meet their needs and to get you through the door to an interview. It's basically a marketing brochure. You'll use it to promote your unique mix of skills, qualifications and experience to potential employers. Adapting your resume to address the particular requirements of each job you apply for will greatly increase your chances of being offered job interviews. Like a good resume, this presentation just covers the key points. You'll find more details and examples of resumes in the Find Out More section of this topic. Try and get started on your resume sooner rather than later. Although your resume needs to be concise, it will actually include a lot of information, including specific details like names and dates. It's not your life story, but it does need to provide a truthful summary. You may need to do a bit of research and fact-checking to make sure it's completely accurate and you haven't left out anything important. So make sure you've got all your relevant papers at hand to refer to. Documents like your academic records, certificates for courses or training, position descriptions from paid or unpaid work you've done, personal records of your achievements at uni, work, and elsewhere. Format your resume so it's really clear and easy to follow. A typical graduate resume shouldn't be more than 2 to 3 pages long. Some employers will have particular requirements, so always check. Present information under subheadings using reverse chronological order. In other words, list the most recent event or activity first. Organise information in your resume around what's most relevant to the job you're applying for. Read job advertisements and position descriptions very carefully to get a sense of the information that each employer thinks most important. For a graduate role, your qualifications might be the most important thing, so put them on the first page. For a job where you have directly relevant work experience, try and include, or at least begin, relevant paid or unpaid experience on the front page. And stick to basic fonts that are easy to read in size 10 and 12 point. Your resume should begin with the information that's most relevant to employers. Who are you and how can you be contacted? For instance, Christina Varelli, 123 Ring Road, Bundoora, Victoria 3086. Telephone 0444 555 666, email student.name@emailaddress.com.au. Use the name you prefer to be called. A resume is not a legal document, so you are not breaking the law if you call yourself Jamie instead of James, even though your birth certificate will list you as James. Include your LinkedIn profile if you have one and it's up to date and professional. If you were born outside Australia and have obtained residency status or citizenship, it's helpful to state this up front so the employer understands that you have the right to work in Australia. There's no reason to include your marital status, religion, or age on your resume. It's illegal for employers to use this kind of information as a reason for employing or not employing you. A career objective explains who you are, what you're looking for, and where you see yourself heading career-wise. It's like a snapshot. For instance, I am a graduate with a double degree in finance and politics, seeking an opportunity to apply my financial modelling skills within a government department. Under the heading Education, provide details of your university studies and any relevant TAFE qualifications. You can include the final years of your secondary education too. Generally, you'd start with your most recent studies, for example, Bachelor of Finance and Bachelor of Arts, La Trobe University, 2010 to 2014. Victorian Certificate of Education, Eltham High School, 2009. In the employment section, include details starting from your most current employment and work backwards. List your position title, the company you worked for, the dates you worked there, and the things you did as part of that job. For instance, waiter, Big Banana Restaurant, January 2009 to December 2014. Provided customer service, suggested menu choices to customers, upsold specials and drinks, served food and beverages, worked as part of a team, managed bookings for birthday parties. You can use the same structure for volunteer and work experience roles. Dot points showing what you've done in a job are one way to include your skills on your resume. You can also use skills statements. Research by Brighton Earl in 2008 found that people increased their chances of being offered an interview by 30% when including skills statements on their resume. Highlighting your skills makes it easier for employers to make the connection between your skills and those required for the job. When you apply for a job, read through the job advertisement or position description and identify the key skills the employer is looking for. Decide which ones are your strengths and highlight these on your resume using brief statements to give evidence of what you can do. Skill statements highlight your key skills with evidence or examples of how you've developed each skill. These should link directly to the requirements of the job you're applying for. You could say, I have excellent communication skills, but you'll have a lot more credibility if you say, high level of communication skills developed through 2 years' experience working as a waiter in a fast-paced setting at Brunetti's Cafe, Carlton. If you're describing your level of competence, for example, advanced negotiating skills, you could provide evidence of how and when you developed the skill. For instance, advanced negotiating skills developed in my work as a sales representative where I was responsible for handling customers who made complaints or asked for discounts. You could write your skills statement as a single short paragraph or use dot points. Here are some resume tips from 2 La Trobe graduates now in full-time work.
Something that was said to me when I was in first year that I'd never really thought about is that once you finish your degree and you apply for a job, every single other person that applies for that job has a degree as well. And if that's all you have on your resume, then you may as well just hand it in a piece of paper that has your name on it, because everyone else that applies has a name as well. You really need something extra on that resume. A degree is not enough. And it's pursuing those extra things that show that you're proactive and you're engaged and you're willing to put in effort. And that's really important.
It was a matter of making sure I had a good CV ready to go when an appropriate job came up. And so the process I took for that was to contact people who I knew that had jobs and look at their CV and compare it with mine, and then just make alterations because you know that their CV was successful in getting them a job. And another thing that you need to take into consideration is that for different jobs you do need to have slight refinements to your CV because you need to emphasise different experiences and different skills. And another important thing after that is to make sure you address all the selection criteria with the right format and make sure that you do address them in good detail.
As we've heard, your resume needs to demonstrate how and why you stand out from other applicants with similar qualifications. You can do this by highlighting your selling points. What achievements, extra skills and standout qualities can you bring to the job? Were you promoted to assistant manager in your part-time supermarket job? Perhaps you increased sales by 23% by asking all customers if they needed anything else. Or did you receive an award for high academic achievement in your favourite subject at uni? Past achievements indicate your potential for the future. Experience matters, so put it on your resume. You might not have paid experience in your industry, but any part-time work you've done while at uni is probably relevant because it shows you have employability skills such as teamwork and some understanding of how workplaces function. Experience can include volunteering, work experience, placements, paid work, and professional development such as going to seminars, conferences, or training. Professional development is worth beginning well before you finish uni. It shows employers your passion, industry knowledge, and ability to manage your own learning and development. Remember, employers, HR people, interview panels, and others involved in recruitment are busy and don't have time to read lengthy resumes. An effective resume will summarise the qualifications and experience you have that are required for the job. It will highlight skills relevant to the key selection criteria, detail your achievements and other selling points, demonstrate good communication skills, be concise and clear, use a font and format that are easy to read. The readings and activities in this topic will help you to make sure your resume meets these requirements. Note to self: update my resume, get feedback from an expert.